maybe they're looking for the time to move on. And I think it's a little bit of a tough break given the circumstances that they lost. Chris, love to know what you think.
Yeah, I thought, I mean, from what you just said, the meme that was on Twitter last night of the field goal, and it was like if it missed on either side, Harbaugh was going to get fired. If it was made, Tomlin was going to get fired. Like so much beyond just who was making the playoffs, who was winning the AFC North, was riding on that kick. And it was a shocking news just because he had been the coach since 2007 and 18 years of him being that guy on the sidelines for a pretty perennially good contender in the AFC.
Won a Super Bowl, I mean, he had been there for obviously
Joe Flacco all the way through.
The world go round. He had Flacco, who was more than serviceable when he had a really good defense, and then he got Lamar, who evolved into a perennial playmaker, multi-time MVP. And again, with that multi-time MVP, it comes just like a little bit like there's going to be natural schisms that develop, right? Sure. When things don't go well, it's like working with a high-profile actor or anything that's high in any industry, right, Chris?
Yeah, and I think too, being in Buffalo and having this thought about the Bills and the Sabres, that they find ways to lose, they have all this heartbreak. Think about what's happened to the Ravens the last 5 to 8 years, like going back obviously to the end of the breaking of the drought for Buffalo. They've been on the wrong end, the Ravens, of some week 18, last minute, last second losses, which did really change the narrative from John Harbaugh and that organization, like I said, being a perennial contender, Super Bowl contender, to either like losing in the playoffs last year with Mark Andrews dropping the pass against the Bills. So many different moments where they've collapsed against the Bills in week 1. Like that has kind of become, or did become, the reputation of the John Harbaugh Ravens.
Seriously, that was the down the stretch. That was there were a couple of leads by 10 points or something. Or like
last year they had a couple too.
Since like 21 of like 10 points or more in the fourth quarter where they lost. Which you can't do with Lamar Jackson. You can't do when you have a weapon like that. For sure, I know Bills fans would not be safe. If we had 10 plus more losses leading by 10 with Allen under the McDermott would be gone. For sure.
Exactly.
We had that kind of failure.
Weird season,
when we're leading.
Weird season for them for it to happen, no doubt. But feels like more than anything, they just feel like time has run its course.
Yeah, I agree.
They got to go on with a new option.
And it sounds like too, by some reports that it's not all roses in the background. That everyone thought John or him and Lamar have this great relationship. Sounds like Lamar wasn't really speaking to him in the last few games. Was kind of giving him the cold shoulder, and then even before that. Yeah, that article came out that pretty much John Harbaugh was almost being held hostage to Lamar, who was skipping out on spring training practice or summer camp practices, doing the minimal, falling asleep in team meetings, was up till like 4 a.m. playing video games, things coaches weren't happy about, but they couldn't really address them because he's their star quarterback. So that was what I thought about, is that strange article that came out about Lamar and potential issues with him.
Anytime I hear about player issues that are off the field, unless like they're actually like a crime, like, DK Metcalf, go eat all the Skittles you want. You know what I mean? Like as long as you
did it on the bench
as
for
long
20
as when
years,
you're in the facility, you do what you need to do. That stuff really doesn't bother me. But I get obviously why these stories come to surface. The Lamar stuff is all just very odd to me. You have those quotes from him about like how he was interacting with the kicker during the game. Did you see that the other day?
Yeah, but he said. So he's like, I talked to him.
Bounds, and Lamar ragged on him in the second quarter. Lamar literally said.
Yeah, the best part was they're like, did you talk to him after he missed the kick? And he thought this was like a good thing to say. He's like, no, I didn't. But I did talk to him after he kicked it out of the bounds and was like, hey, get your head in the game. It's all like, it wasn't all like he was barking at him, but he definitely was like, hey, come on, we got to focus. We got to tighten up.
He's in his head a little.
Yeah.
It was legitimately
it's like what you don't do to a kicker.
You said it perfectly, though. I think in that situation, Lamar was saying, no, I didn't harp on him there. I was just trying to give him criticism or like constructive criticism in the second quarter.
He's a rookie.
When it really came off as was when he needed comfort, I didn't give it to him. But when he fucked up in the second quarter, I kind of ragged on him a little bit. And then that was like a weird situation. I think we really take for granted. Again, it's weird to say, oh, everything's all hunky-dory when we have clearly 4 games we got to win ahead of us. How tight-lipped, how one Buffalo that locker room is. Like, you just don't see dissension like very often. You see it so rarely that I want to actually go to tomorrow real quick with you. Before we get into the rest of the fired coaches, people were saying McDermott might have been firing some shots at Bean with some of this. Like, people were saying that. I'm not saying anyone here said it. Nobody else been. I'm curious your thoughts there, because to me, that seems like Buffalo fans being so desperate for there to be anything. Whereas I think McDermott's just like, they got Jacoby Myers and they're playing better. Like, you know, like we have like our roster out is just telling it like it is, and people are kind of spinning that in another direction.
I think what you just said, that's just grasping at straws that aren't really there. Do I think that there wasn't any chance of it being a slight dig? No, the way that he said it, like, oh, it was at the deadline and there was reports that the Bills were interested in Jacoby Myers. But I think 95% of it was just the coach complimenting the opponent, which the Bills are historically in this era very good at doing. They're going to do it every single week. That's when I saw it. That was my initial reaction. Then later on Twitter, I saw a lot of people like, oh, it's a dig. They're fighting. That hasn't been there in the last 8 or 9 years.
And I think they know, like, in my opinion, McBean are at the hip. Like, people say, like, oh, could Bean get fired? I think if one of them goes, it could very well be both of them. So I just don't think there's any dissension. I think they got to be lockstep.
What I would say, too, is I kind of view them, they came up together in Carolina. I mean, kind of. And I kind of view them as, like, how, like, brothers can be, or, like, you two, where you guys can disagree on something. And it's not like after the show's over, you guys are hating each other. So, I mean, these are two individuals that have known each other, have worked together for over 10 years. Are they going to agree on every single draft pick or every single trade that does or doesn't happen? Probably not. But I think what's important is it's not icing them out and not talking to them, or it ruins their whole relationship. And I think that's important. Yes.
Yeah. Totally. I totally agree that they've been joined at the hip, and like everything you just said came up together. They can work through decisions together. I don't know if I'm on the same. I think they very well could be out if one's out, both together, but I'm not sure if that's going to be the case. But I didn't take it as a dig at all. You said it perfectly. Actually, McDermott's like one of the best coaches in the league at being so complimentary to his opponents in the week leading up to that matchup. That it almost
coach and organization speak. They're typically an 8 to 9 out of 10.
McDermott is like the most coach speak coach in the league.
So tight-lipped.
I was going to say great PR speak as well, but there have been a couple folds in that paper in the past as we kind of know.
For me, the idea that like one of the most tight-lipped guys that is never going to say anything to cause even like a slight tilt of problem. The idea that he's going to take shots at the GM the week of a playoff game, it's just ridiculous to me. It just doesn't make rational sense.
The timing of all of this, again, just does not make any sense. What does make sense is the end of the year, we had some fired NFL coaches. Cowboys got rid of their defensive coordinator, Aberfluss, former head coach. Commanders got rid of Kingsbury, but the head coaches, AFC North sickos, are back at it. John Harbaugh and Kevin Stefanski. Between these two, real quick, Chris, which surprised you more? Because I know Cleveland fans are already kind of like lamenting that Stefanski's going to go somewhere and do something.
Stefanski probably surprised me more. I think you said it perfectly about John Harbaugh, that it kind of felt like, okay, you didn't get back to the playoffs even again. It kind of felt like the time has come. Stefanski now he hasn't won a ton of games, but he's gotten to the playoffs twice with the Cleveland Browns.
Two-time coach of the year, which I forgot.
Yeah, that's crazy. So that surprised me a little more, especially the fact that the rookie class was actually pretty good. And I mean, do I think that it was a total terrible decision for them to get rid of him? I mean, you can look at his resume, not a lot of wins and a lot of losses, but that surprised me more because when he's had a serviceable roster, Kevin Stefanski has proven that he can take the Cleveland Browns and even win a playoff game.
Definitely. No, I agree with everything you just said there.
I'm mostly shocked because, again, like I think the coach I don't know how you keep the GM that's responsible for the entire cap hell that they're in with the Deshaun Watson saga and everything. He's been there since 2020 and he's still there. Yeah. Like, I mean, that's ridiculous.
The only theory that I have on that is that the Deshaun Watson thing was 100% the Haslams. And they went over the head of everyone and said, we're the owners, get this guy. And now, which they have come out, Jimmy and D Haslam have come out and said like, yeah, we messed that up, which usually owners don't say anything. So I think the only reason that Andrew Berry still has the job as the Browns GM is because he was like not a part of it.
They put him in cap.
They were like, we want this guy. We don't care. And we don't care about all the off-field stuff. And it blew up in their face.
Stefanski would be a great ad if he doesn't. He's going to jump on with someone for sure.
I think so. I mean, his track record, again, I think is good enough in Minnesota and in Cleveland.
I agree. No, he's been solid. People are like, I don't even want to do this next bullet point. Is McDermott safe if we get exit first round? Can we just assume we're going 1-0? Can we focus on 1-0?
It's a question no one wants to ask and no
All
one
I'm
wants to
saying is
answer.
if the alternative happens, we'll have plenty of time to talk about. Like, I don't think he's in, barring a 35-0 loss. I don't think anything's happening to McDermott.
I don't think so either. I think the thing that is worth discussing, or like the two different ways to look at it, there could be, I think, a decent argument if the Bills lose by 10 points on Sunday that maybe he should be fired because of Allen and all that. Will he be fired? That is a completely different thing. There is no way that Terry Pegula, especially seeing the turmoil and even seeing John Harbaugh just get fired, is going to say, oh, we lost one playoff game. We've been to the playoffs this many times. We've won 5 AFC East titles. We're going to go, and I'm going to go through the hiring process again that he's been through with the Sabres a billion times and had the, Doug Marrone and Rex Ryan. No way will he be fired unless it's some crazy game.
Real quick, because now we're in the world of hypotheticals right now. Any team can do anything.
Yeah.
My group chat, because my thing when I come to getting rid of McDermott is who's your replacement?
Yes, you have to say that.
I think a year or two ago,
no one likes to think about that.
The one like golden gun guy for me, and I think a lot of people, was Jim Harbaugh.
Okay.
Like when he came back.
Okay.
Then last year, for the people that were kind of fanatics, it was the Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson, that's what I was going to say.
That's where I wanted to go with this next one, because when you look at the math, clearly the Bears should not have the record they have right now. They should have lost 1 or 2 of those games. They played clutch, and maybe that is their coach. Maybe their coach going crazy gives them that confidence. So when they're down in the fourth quarter, they're not worried or anything. Do you think Buffalo fans should be lamenting in this juncture that like, oh, we didn't get a Ben Johnson and we could have like teamed him up with a Josh Allen? Like, or is that maybe overstated at this point and the jury's still out?
I think it's a little overstated. I mean, we got to see what the Bears do in the playoffs. What I would say too, though, is the only reason why I could see fans lamenting it a little is I think you do have an advantage as an NFL team when your head coach is also the offensive play caller. We may see it with the Bills. If the Bills go on a run, Joe Brady might not be the Bills offensive coordinator next year, and you're like, got to go do another offensive coordinator. That's the only thing that I think that's the real steadfast opinion on the McDermott thing. I don't like it because he's a defensive guy and you got to cycle through the offensive coordinators.
I mean, McDermott calling plays is a whole other dilemma within this.
Is he calling plays right now? Do we know yet? I mean, the last
why
month.
do I feel like it's almost common knowledge or thought process that he steps in at halftime, like almost every game? And all of a sudden we've got amazingly disguised secondary blitzes that are getting there, and like the run gaps are all like stuffed. Like I don't know what the hell is happening with this team somehow, but that's why it makes it so exciting, and that's why Jacksonville really is such a wild card. We were talking with our guy Bun, just to put a button on all the stuff. Bun said the funniest thing. He goes, "They're either losing Sunday or going to the Super Bowl."
Bills.
Yeah, you think that's far off?
No, I don't think it is, because I mean, there's been so much. It's kind of been ad nauseum of like, oh, there's no Burrow, there's no Mahomes, there's no Jackson. Josh Allen has to win it. Well, there's still other good teams, but I do think, and we'll probably see it Sunday to a certain degree, and then if the Bills win, definitely later on. So much inexperience in the playoffs, and I think back to Josh Allen's first game where they're winning 16-0 in Houston. And then like things kind of fell apart in the second half.
Yep.
There is nothing that can replace, for a quarterback, for just a team, the vibe, the defense, having that experience of we're this close to winning a playoff game and not making a critical mistake or not throwing a bad pick or not stupid penalty. I like with Drake May, he's great. Bo Nix has been really good. A lot of these guys don't have a ton of experience in the playoffs. And a lot of those key plays and key moments were the reason that the Bills weren't moving on against Patrick Mahomes, because he had been there and done that. Yeah. He could match Allen physically, but that Steve Spagnuolo, Andy Reid, they'd all been there, and that this AFC playoffs does not have that.
Weren't overwhelmed by the moment.
Obviously, we'd have to go into Denver, but we handled Bo Nix with no problem last year in the wild card.
Plus two, this NFL season has had, I think a record number of close games, had more parity, I think, than most years past, where, you have the Denver Broncos who have a great record, but really haven't been as dominant. A lot of those wins, they're escaping last minute. They're scoring 30 against the Giants. They're holding KC on twice for 2 3-point wins. I don't think it's crazy to say we could see a second round where you have the 5, 6, and 7 seed move on in the AFC.
I wouldn't be shocked about that.
I wouldn't be surprised seeing the Texans beat Steelers. Bills can beat the Jags. I mean, it's a pick 'em, and the Chargers. I don't think are at all a bad matchup. That's a 3-point spread as well in New England, and with two great coaches. And that's
Chargers are +3.
Yeah.
Harbaugh is going to go in there.
So
I know we got to focus target. Harbaugh is going to make Vrabel play that game in a phone booth.
If you might want to put some of these seats back in the high market.
Seriously.
If, we might have a 1, 5, 6, 7
we
second
just
round.
Gotta handle our business. We just got to handle our business.
The thing is, too, if the Chargers
it's just so close,
if the
everyone
Chargers go into New England and beat them, I'm then worried about the Chargers themselves. That's a really good team.
And what I would say, too, is if the Chargers beat the Patriots, I would say the last team the Broncos want to see in the second round is the Chargers.
Absolutely.
They are like,
I was thinking
even though
it's
it's a 7,
this year, they were close. They
super
were right
close.
And division rivals.
Division rivals. You're playing them the third time.
Yeah.
They've been close games. They would probably rather see an unfamiliar, let's say,
100%.
opponent than
Steelers,
seeing the Chargers in the second round. And we've seen 1 seeds lose all the time in that divisional round.
Yep.
And this, like he's saying, the Broncos as the 1 seed don't feel like the 07 Patriots as the 1 seed or the 2020 Chiefs as the 1 seed.
The pass rush is like their claim to fame. And then they got Surtain in the secondary, complimentary defense, and then they're being situational. The biggest thing I would say, if we're just looking at the Broncos, that it seems like their strongest thing is when Bo Nix is playing off schedule this year, right? Mm-hmm. Which is tough to be like, go play off schedule, Bo Nix, right? You want to be able to scheme and stuff like that for the playoff matchup. So that'll be tough. Yeah. Speaking of winning on the road, obviously the Bills are going to have to do it at least once or twice, or at least twice in this playoff series. They haven't won a road playoff game since the drought ended. When was their last road playoff win, and who was it against? I know it has to be in the early 90s. Correct? Do you know this? Yeah. So I know it has to be in the early 90s.
I saw this on the thing, but I didn't remember.
Because I look, I'm used to this era that we're in with like 4 straight division titles. I forget that we're seeing it this year. A couple of those teams had like wild card bursts because Marino or whatever like won the division. They go to Miami to beat Marino.
Well, they had one more recent than that.
Was it Oakland?
No.
I'm gonna say it was a win over the Steelers in Pittsburgh.
That's correct. Here we go. Now what year? Do we got the year?
93?
92.
Okay.
92. Yeah. So we have played a number. We played, and so before the drought, we played in 99 Tennessee. We all remember that game.
Yep.
And then 98 Dolphins. 95.
I was crying in a bowling alley.
95 lost to the Steelers.
Inside the 10.
And then 93, we were, AFC 1 seed. So we marched to our last Super Bowl in 4 years. So it's been a long time since we've won a road playoff game.
Well, listen, the Bills just need to bounce back in that regard, exactly like the Sabres did last night at home. A little bit lesser opponent, Vancouver. But, boys, 4-0 out of the gate. You had UPL looking very sharp. It was a very touch and go end, but you had to be happy with that performance after the loss at Columbus.
Everything up until the end was great. We were playing physically. We were back checking pucks to the net, crashing the net. This looked like old school Lindy Ruff hockey. And Don, you've been saying that since we've been on this streak with Yarmo taking over.
Yeah, well, it's been a good mix. I said this team is kind of like a midpoint between late 90s, early 2000s, and the Drury Briere 05, 06, 07 years, where we have talent. Maybe we're not as talented depth-wise, but we also have that grit. We have a fourth line that's very gritty, can get it done in the corners and score like they did last night again. We're scoring shorthanded like we did last night again. And we got guys, even our goal scorers, blocking shots. It used to be just Jay McKee and Teppo Newman back there blocking shots. And Drury would put his body on the line, but, a lot of our goal scorers were, Afenaganoff wasn't going out there blocking shots. Now we got Tage throwing his body out, Tuck throwing his body out. I love it. I mean, it's a perfect mix of talent and heart we got going.
Aggressive defensive play from a bunch of the forwards. I mean, our penalty kill was so aggressive. That's how we got that 2-on-1 on the penalty kill, scoring on that opportunity. Did come to bite us at one point where Power was kind of like toying between the top defenseman, down low offenseman. That
drove me fucking
whether
nuts.
that's just Owen Power or not, he was getting a little too cheeky.
You know what? It's the classic sports play. It doesn't matter whether it's football. In that case, it was hockey, where you're torn between doing two things and you don't do one thing.
Yeah.
And that was really what happened. So then he walked all the way in and he still had the eye. So it was just I get what Owen Power's doing, but it almost looked like his like player froze, and he was like lagging.
No,
but
agreed. I
it
think
was a nitpick, but that's something that's got to get better.
So Owen Power has a couple things in that regard that definitely need to get better.
Well,
But the offense and
everybody's playing
defense.
so strong. Everybody's playing good. The passing last night, I don't know if I'm like delusional or something. The best passing I've seen from the Sabres.
Oh my God,
in 10 to 20 years.
Defensemen joining the rush. I know Owen Power's already good at that. That's the one thing I praise him for. But Bowen Byram coming down on that odd man rush, finding McLeod on the weak side. Eyes in the back of his head. They were asking him in the postgame how he even found it. He's like, I don't know. I just saw him breaking down the backside. It's like, that's just a hockey play right there.
I mean, are the Sabres out of the rut a little bit? Now the only problem is that nobody in the Eastern Conference is losing.
That's the thing. So even after we take one down, we're in a wild card spot and go back to the winning way, we're still one out of the wild card spot behind Pittsburgh, jumping Florida too. So it's like, even when we're jumping such a good team, top of the East, we're still one out of the wild card.
Florida to make a run,
and this is halfway through the season. So it's who's going to fall once the race starts approaching the finish line in terms of the East wild card race. We just got to keep getting 2 points out of these games, whether it's in regulation or not.
What's interesting to me, though, is that the East, even though, like Zach just said, that the East keeps winning, the East, there's not like 4 super teams. It's very, even from the top of the conference to the bottom of the conference is not this huge dichotomy of 30 points.
We're still
crazy.
only 6 out from first in the East.
Yeah.
The West you have Colorado and Dallas who are just up there ahead of the pack.
Yep.
But anyone could just make a run at any
Apparently,
point.
Colorado hasn't lost in regulation to a Western Conference team all year, and they've lost to 4 Eastern Conference teams this year.
That's kind of backwards.
Insane. Absolutely insane.
It's crazy.
So again, the standing situation, because we looked at it 10 games ago, right, Don? And we said with 50 games to go, they were 10 points out of first in the Atlantic. That was our thing. So we got plenty of time. That was our thinking. With 50 games to go. Now, with 41 games to go, they're 7 points out of first place in the Atlantic, but the catch here is that first place in the Atlantic is also first place in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
So there's 7 points out of first place in the Eastern Conference with 40 games to go. Now again, here's the flip side of every situation. They're also 5 points ahead of last.
That's what I mean. It's so tight in the East.
So literally, if they drop an 0-3-1 skid here, they could be in a lot of trouble. Again, this was the worst tweet. This was almost misery because it said it. 5 games ago, the Sabres were 2 points out of a wild card. They went 4-1-0, and now they're 1 point out of a wild card.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
you're not making much progress, even with a 4 win.
The East just does not stop winning.
Is it crazy? Is it crazy to be aiming for that 3rd spot in the Atlantic instead of the wild card?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, that's kind of where I'm at.
At this point, you're what you
just
got to
keep
look at.
winning.
You got to look at the fact that no other team in the East has won more than 7 games, except for the Tampa Bay Lightning in their last 10. They're the only team that's won 7 or more. The Sabres have won 9. They're playing as good as anybody. They're 7 points out. Absolutely a spot. And a lot of people think the Red Wings are going to drop out based on the numbers games, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you look at matchups too, the teams that are up there, we have yet to play Tampa, I believe. Or we might have played them once and won. Detroit, we've beat 2 out of 3 times. We'll see them again in March. Montreal, we've struggled with, and Carolina, we've struggled with. Islanders, we've beat when we've played them. Philly, we've split with. So
Islanders
that's the top 6
with a 9-0
teams right there.
win over
So
the Devils
9-0, they got
last
outshot 2-1. Unbelievable.
night.
Yeah. So, I mean, this too. You talked about Penguins jumped us. Penguins jumped us by 1 point. We have 2 more wins. Now, this brings back a very sensitive topic of mine that I've had for years. That I have major beef with the point system.
That's brutal.
Yes.
We need to be using the 3-2-1 system because you go into a game, it's like, hey guys, we got 2 points up for grabs. Then we go to overtime. We're like, we have a magic point that came out of nowhere. Now we turn a 2-point game into a 3-point game. This is why the math isn't mathing. You shouldn't have teams that win in regulation get punished for teams.
Regulation wins should absolutely be rewarded.
Count more. They should count more than winning in overtime.
And I forget who it was, but one of the number nerds out there, I say that with respect, showed that time on attack in a tied game in the final 10 minutes during the regular season is less than half of what it is during the average game is, because basically both teams just lock it down and are waiting for overtime. Nobody's making any chances.
That's not good for anybody. It's not entertainment value, anything.
Product. It does not get the better team to rise to the cup. You're trying for more variability when you're playing for overtime.
Mathematically, it just makes sense. Like in any league, you say, here's the magic number. Here's how many points we need. Well, if we say, hey, every single game, there's 3 points up for grabs. You win them all. You win 2 or you win 1 for going overtime. We don't have these magic points getting added again.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of my big beef is statistically, like it doesn't make sense. We're adding a 3rd point from nowhere that isn't up for grabs at the start of the game. It again doesn't suit the math of the whole thing.
Has the NHL ever been asked about this, like by like an actual journalist, like at like a owners meeting or at like where the actual commissioner or whoever that would be the competition committee can give their reasoning, or is it just legacy purposes?
Having lived through it, what I would say right now is we're at a late 2010s robot vibe with the point system where you know that it's right. You know that it's probably what should happen, but you're going to have to get 26 or 30 votes or something, and everyone's set in their way. Yeah. And it's going to occur 5 to 10 years after it should have. Okay. But I think that like we're just at the point where common sense is being used. Fuck the Panthers, go win it all. Sabres, okay, we like that. Thank you, Blue Paper Jello. But yes, a lot of attention on that, and obviously a lot of attention on the Sabres. Now, this is a great one. Sabres get to play number 14 in the conference, Rangers, on Thursday. Now they're only 2 points back though, so again, we really got to win.
Yeah, so I don't know if that Rangers fan meant that, knowing how soon we play each other.
This Eastern Conference is like Hunger Games District 12. Like someone's going to get out of here stronger than ever.
Everyone's out for blood.
Yes, everyone is out for blood. Speaking of being out for blood, Ole Miss college football. Lane Kiffin. Why not think about Lane Kiffin for a couple minutes, right? So
we can't help it.
I think about Lane Kiffin when I can think about Michael Irvin, though.
Yeah, agreed. But Lane Kiffin's but the thing is, Michael Irvin is on your screens. It's almost like Lane Kiffin is trying to force who's on him.
Yeah, he's forcing himself onto your iPhone screens.
Absolutely. Or taking the players and coaches on him off him. So he tried to poach Chambliss.
I'm sure he's trying to poach everybody.
And so I heard the scuttlebutt that got its way to me is that from all the take kings on college football.
Here we go.
Is that Lane expected them to lose versus Georgia, at which point he was going to kind of like poach everyone back before some crucial periods come up here in the college football calendar. They win. It's like they're off limits back again because everyone wants him to play for this game. And now like there's an in-between where Ole Miss is like defending Lane while like preparing for like their game. Like it's just, this is youth sports, Chris.
As someone that has always loved college football, and I've been a draft analyst forever, if you want to talk about the NHL point system's messed up, the calendar for college football is an absolute
train wreck.
Yes. It's really, really, really bad that with the transfer portal and that guys leave right away. And I think, which we don't need to go down this rabbit hole totally, the whole NIL thing is good for the players to finally get money.
Agreed.
But it's like the wild, wild west. There needs to be salary caps. There needs to just be more logical calendar or schedule for these games. Now it's like it's college football Saturday, and now we're going to get games on Thursday, Friday, which makes sense. We'll talk about that. And then the national title is Monday night. It's super late. The game gets over at like midnight on a Monday night. It's very weird, but it's actually kind of on brand for how college seems to just kind of throw things out there and just say, "Oh, this is how we do it," without any sensibility behind it.
How can I just emanate exactly what you said? Because 100%, like it was like someone was posting the meme like, we're college football. We're going to play on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, except for like when it's a college football playoff, where we'll just play at random days. Like, like again, there's like no fluidity there. It's very interesting. When I look back at NIL now, obviously they're trying to organize it. They opened Pandora's box, and now they're trying to organize it. Reminds me of crypto. Like crypto just burst on the scene. Anyone could do anything they wanted, right? Because it wasn't like
NFTs. Remember that?
Yeah. People weren't being affected.
Difference is like this is still around.
Yeah. They didn't care because they weren't being affected. Their bottom lines were being hit. Now that you're seeing, like, it's almost like the fact that Indiana made it to the end, people are like, we got to figure this out. Like, you know, like, or like Texas A&M's $30 million roster, or Texas Tech, I'm sorry.
I think it's great for the fans. We had an unreal college football playoff.
There's way more parity in the sport now. It's not just Nick Saban and Kirby Smart running through the schedule every season. Seems weird that stopped right when NIL stopped.
What a coincidence.
And that's when Saban retired, too. He's like, oh, crap.
I have a spin zone, though, on this. I think with the... Let's put on conspiracy corner. Here we go.
Okay, hold on.
This is actually a perfect segment.
Make sure I'm ready.
So conspiracy corner. I think the Lane Kiffin saga might be the best thing to ever happen to this NIL situation to straighten it all out and show how ridiculous it is. Again, he leaves in a record-setting season for Ole Miss, where now they're in the semis. They're facing the 12 seed. They're one win away. And again, I read this tweet from an insider. He's actively, while he was leaving, trying to lure away Lacey, their star running back, Chambliss, their quarterback. Both sign on right now and say, you know what, the money, don't care. We're coming back to Ole Miss. There are other 3 top players he tried to get. They all stayed on. Ole Miss now has commitments from Lacey, Chambliss stay. Not a single Ole Miss starter has hit the portal, and only one non-starter decided to transfer to LSU. So Lane is pretty much getting iced out. He thought this was going to go very differently, reading on how the NIL thing did. And I think the ridiculousness of this has kind of been like, do we want to live in a world like this? Made a lot of players, a lot of coaches think about that, where it gets even deeper than that. Lane fires LSU's star recruiter, brings in his own. Right now, Ole Miss is ranked 3rd in portal recruiting. LSU is ranked 56th.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
this could be that tipping point moment.
This has not gone the way Lane thought it was going to go.
You're right, for sure. And all they need is to be like, we can't have coaches leaving in the middle of like a college football playoff. Like that's probably going to be, like you said, the number one thing. And like it goes back to the original point, right? Is that Lane Kiffin had this plan he was trying to work out. If you're a transfer who is like told, oh yeah, come to LSU, we got this figured out, and now you see his plan kind of falling apart in real time, doesn't really make you feel very secure as someone who's literally lifting up your life and going to play for this guy, maybe in a different region, maybe in a completely different setting. So, but speaking of which,
Ole Miss already has number 4 D-line in the country committed, another DB from Florida, a Baylor linebacker.
So they're not going to LSU,
Yeah, all these, there's a list of like 6 names, all like top 50, top 100 players that are all signing on to Ole Miss, and LSU's got like hardly anything to show for it. So
Chambliss, real quick, what's his scope at the next level? Iffy? I think it looked like he was a big body making plays against Georgia. That was what threw me off.
I would say middle of the draft at this point. But what's funny is I don't think he's that big of a quarterback. I haven't looked at his. But in today's NFL, I think over the last 10 to 15 years, we've kind of come to realize that you don't need to be 6'5" and 220. It's everything from the pocket and then off structure, like you mentioned with Bo Nix. So he's someone there. If this was 2015, it would be like, oh, he's not going to get drafted. He's not big enough. But now, what he did against Georgia in that game, I thought he was sensational in that game.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The playmaking ability, the quick release, the accuracy, that's all you need.
Because the whole season, obviously, like Ole Miss goes through their schedule. Great. They had a couple games here, there, or whatever. But I was just watching against Georgia, and I was specifically watching the overhead cam, which I love. When I
watched that angle too.
The overhead, I cannot watch the normal. I need to see what the defense is lining up on, so how the play goes. Man, just some of the things he was doing with like a Georgia guy coming right as this, who's probably likely going like in the top 100 picks or whatever next year, right? Like CJ Stroud on a micro level is what I would say.
What I would say though, too, being a draft guy, is that like whatever I say right now, the draft machine can turn someone. Like I remember Baker Mayfield in the Josh Allen draft. They lost in the semifinals to Georgia that year at Oklahoma. And it was like, oh, Baker Mayfield, yeah, he's pretty decent. He could be a 3rd or 4th round pick. He ends up being the first pick.
Yeah,
it literally,
was so shocking.
The pre-draft process can turn guys from Christian Hackenberg's going to be the first pick to a 2nd rounder, or Kyler Murray all the way up to the first pick.
My favorite ever was Joe Burrow.
Oh my God, absolutely.
Preseason not projected for anything. And then by the time he got there, number 1, like consensus.
So, I mean, if Chambliss plays really well the next couple of weeks, you'll start to see like, oh, he's going to be a first rounder.
That's cool. Well, I'm happy for him. Obviously, he's going. Is it freshman? He's going back because it sounds like he's recommitted to Ole Miss.
He went. No, he played it.
I think he gets a 5th year because of COVID, but I think he's
a transfer from like the F's from Fair State or something.
So he can go if he wanted to.
Yes,
eventually. So that'll be interesting to see. Speaking of interesting to see, so we got Ole Miss tomorrow against Miami. So it's Chambliss. It's the guys who were doubted by their own coach who skipped town against
Michael Irvin,
the playmaker. By the way, I was watching a lot of Michael Irvin, but it is This guy is virtually on the field, like not just on the field.
You would
level,
think he's the coach
on the playing field. Like the second the play as he's running around, like it's unbelievable.
It reminds me of like NBA coaches when they get too antsy.
Yes, he's absolutely got NBA coach.
And they're pouring sweat.
And
Just so much sweat.
It's soaking through his quarter zip. It looks like he just got a Gatorade bath.
Yeah.
Speaking of college basketball, let's run through this. So by the way, Miami. Trainwreck. I blame myself for touching the table. It's okay. We're not going to touch the table.
This is Trainwreck Today.
Miami Ole Miss -3.5. Does that line make sense to you?
Who's the favorite?
Miami.
No, it doesn't make
12
sense. It doesn't make sense to me, really. Miami. I guess what they did to Alabama is just like giving it this, but I don't know the scoring. Ole Miss is a really good team. It kind of scares me. I don't know. This line doesn't make a lot of sense.
Miami's defensive line, that Ruben Bain is going to be a top 10 to 5 pick, probably. What I would say is that Chambliss can really move around, and like he was making Georgia defenders miss inside and outside the pocket. So that could maybe be why that game is a little bit tighter.
Vegas will often be very stubborn. Like when a good team or when an upset moves on, they'll still just put them as a bigger upset. Miami kind of bent Vegas to their will here.
Yeah.
Like just so many run-out good games that you're like undeniable. Like, they're the favorites now. Like, so very
Vegas
cool
almost
to see
hedging on themselves.
We've got Oregon, Indiana on Friday. We'll get more onto that on Friday's show, but so a lot going in the college sphere. Speaking of which, we got UB 13-2, second in the MAC. Great start. It's reinvigorating to have the Sabres and UB playing well again. It just adds on to the sports buzz around this town, which is obviously a large part of the culture. Free tag and co dominating. We got UB women's hoops. They're crawling and they're learning to walk right now. And that's what I'm saying. We got Kristen Sharkey in her first year. They're doing a lot of things better already. So let's see how they go through conference play. And you never know. Maybe you'll make your way up to a 6 to 8 seed, make some noise in Cleveland, Ohio. But on a national scope, the Auburn game, I didn't even see this. What happened?
All right. So down 2.6 on the clock. They get an inbound. They need 3 points to win. Get a quick inbound. As soon as the guy catches, like one hand barely gets it off. It's one of those where even in slow-mo, it's like almost impossible to tell. Is it still on his fingertips? Did the buzzer go? You see the light on the basketball hoop behind. It could have been either way. I think it was too late. It didn't go in, but he makes an incredible shot. Now this is at home, so fans are going crazy. They think this is a huge win for them, and we know how SEC fans can get. Refs say, no good. Students go crazy, start throwing shit on the field on the court at refs. Got a little ugly. You even got Texas A&M's coach. He's trying to give a post-game recap for the press. He's got the full headset on, like, earmuff ears, the thing. And he's like, guys, I can't do that. I can't hear you. These fans are too loud. And that was after the game. They were hooting and hollering. So, yeah, college basketball heating up at the right time. I'm starting to pay attention. This is right when I start to pay attention when NFL playoffs start, because we got to gear up for March Madness. So
Auburn fans have a knack of celebrating early. Remember that guy at the Final Four who poured the drink on his head and like the buzzer beater didn't even count?
Yeah.
That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So then you had to be in the beer.
Speaking of heating up at the right time, our Audrey Crooks, 35 points recently over a win over Houston, but I think it was last night, falling to Baylor, 72-70. She puts up 26 for sure. I saw a quote from her recently, though. No one cares if you were a monster in January. Everyone cares if you were a monster in March. So if she's doing this in January, let's just watch out,
You're up to
ladies.
date on the Audie Crooks of it all. I mean, she's just dominating at Iowa State. She's not like it's the bite, and she just uses it perfectly. Like, she becomes undefendable at this level.
Looks
so
like Will Chamberlain, honestly.
It's going to be very interesting how this like translates to the WNBA level, because obviously she'll get coached and everything, but it's just like they don't even have a chance when they match up against her. Like if she gets the ball in the post one-on-one, it's over.
Apparently Baylor does with their defensive adjustments. So we'll have to see.
But 27, it's not exactly like they shut her down.
Agreed.
But so we got that. We got college. By the way, I know we got a lot of college basketball. We got the Paul Davis MSU thing. Tom Izzo was yelling at him. I saw that.
Yeah.
Did you see the coach like running at the refs at that post game one?
Which with Michigan?
I think it might have been no, it wasn't Michigan State. Sorry, this is a separate one. We're talking about Tom Izzo and his former player in the stands on this one.
So, well, this is just intriguing. I didn't know if we want to talk about this because this happened Monday night. But yeah, former player Paul Davis and tight with Tom Izzo says something, and the ref immediately turns around, blows the whistle, and it wasn't clear if he was like booting him out or giving him a warning. You see Tom Izzo looking over, points at his player, and then he goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" And then says, "Get him out, get him out." I've been looking all over the internet for 2 days. I cannot find, because someone had to have heard what he yelled.
Yeah.
I can't find anything. It must have been terrible because Tom Izzo on the podium after the game says, what he said, no one should ever say anywhere in the world.
Oh, man.
But this is so, like, normally you can at least get like, oh, yeah, it was a racially insensitive remark. Maybe.
What did he say? Drake May deserves the MVP?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry.
I don't know. I can't find it, though. I put this in the notes thinking I could find it. I've spent 3 days scouring the internet. No one wants to come forward. So, hey, if anyone out there watching, DM us. We'll keep you anonymous. I'm just intrigued what he said that now, that people say terrible things that get him booted. But I mean, for Tom Izzo to make that remark about a former player, I mean,
something that is that bad and that in 2026 on the internet, you can't find what he said. That's shows how bad it must be.
For sure. Speaking of fake, so I just wanted to show you this because we're talking about NCAA getting out of sorts or whatever. I just sent you one of the clips, Don.
Yep.
So it was the Notre Dame coach 4 days ago. Did anyone see this when it came out? Like the game ended. There was some 4-point play. I don't even know what happened. I've never seen a coach go after the
ran at them.
Full bar fight. I'm charging at you like situation. And the players and coaches are all holding him back. Like this guy's losing his mind. So I don't know if we can pull that down. But we can because we're talking about tantrums and
I was going to say someone else was running at the ref.
What happened with Steve?
Basically, he's mad at a goaltending call. Gary Payton Jr., I think, putting up a layup.
Junior.
Yeah, the glove putting up a layup right under the hoop, damn near in the restricted circle. Gets blocked. Could have hit the glass before. Wasn't even reviewed, wasn't even replayed, maybe replayed once to the point where the commentators didn't even have a good angle on it. And Steve Kerr, before the next play is even over at the other end of the court, is just on the court. I was saying how Michael Irvin does at the Miami games. He's on the court, letting it be known to this ref. Ref wasn't having any of it. Steve Kerr gets the boot, walks off pretty on his own accord while still letting the ref hear it, as any NBA coach does.
I feel like he gets a pretty long leash normally. So
Steve Kerr does, and it usually does take a lot for him to get quite ticked off to that capacity, especially just with a basketball call. I don't know. I've seen
that's one of my favorite dynamics in sports, though, is when a classy person gets really upset versus the person who's complaining every time. They're like, you know what, though, we got to give that person a little leeway, though, because they don't typically do this.
Exactly.
It's like that's a great.
It's better when the ref wants to come over.
You guys tell me on a scale of 1 to 10. I mean, this was unbelievable. There's the coach.
Oh, that looks like Daniel Cormier. Full sprint.
Like so much momentum that he almost ends up in the fan section here. They're doing the zone defense. I love it. They're doing this on the baseline.
So it's funny. I saw that clip of where they're like foul for the 3-pointer. That's a classic move. Up 3, so they have to shoot 2 free throws, and you just trade them back. And then he made the 3.
Yeah.
I did not see the angle where the coach was going nuts.
It's so funny when the ref gives the coaches leeway, like, Steve, this isn't like you, dude.
Yeah, Steve, this ain't you, Steve.
Yeah.
Can I spin what he said about the Steve Kerr play to a question and to football? Have you guys investigated or have you guys talked about how and why and when the NFL uses the expedited replay review just randomly in games? There was one in the Bills-Jets game. No one cared because it was like an exhibition game, basically. There have been some key moments in this Bills season and NFL season.
The Patriots game where we ended up coming back 21-0. I want to say the expedited replay was 3-0 in favor of the Patriots.
Do we know how and why and when?
We should have had one. It was like, line up, boys. We're staffing this. We're running this clock.
I'm almost at a point where the coach should get an expedited replay or 2. Not a challenge. I'm just saying to say I want an
Like a
expedited
free
review. I want
one.
that,
Right now,
I want that looked at for 15 seconds.
Yeah, you don't even
That's
get-
what I say.
you don't
And if
even
you
get
can't find anything in
penalized.
that 15 seconds, then you can move on.
And I was in the stands on Sunday for Bills Jets. I forgot what play it was because all the plays just kind of blurred
emotional.
together.
Yeah, it was blurred.
Yeah.
Give up forever to touch you.
Yeah, getting some Goo Goo Dolls at the end was great.
Jesus.
That I said to the guy that sits next to me, I was like, I wonder if this is going to be expedited reviewed or not. And then we waited 5 seconds. They're like, yeah, it was overturned. That was a catch. And I was like, how do they decide that?
Yeah.
It seems very sketchy with the NFL, and you can't really
Never
get
forget
anything
that the
past
Bills
us.
gave birth to expedited review, even though the NFL would never admit it on that Texans wild card playoff game when the man in black came out of nowhere for the first time in history.
That's actually perfect
that
segue.
was literally the first. You'd never seen it before.
Never.
And by the way,
Never seen it since.
By the way, they realized we need to take the man in black out of that. We need to just whistle right down to them. Like that's what we need to do. So they fixed the operation. And you've never seen it since. 100%.
What play was that on?
The guy caught in the end zone, and he did this, which doesn't signal anything.
Yeah.
This does not signal anything.
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
NFL.
yeah.
This is just what you do to tell your team who's running back that they don't need to turn around and block, so
Right.
don't hurt yourself.
Drop the ball.
He caught the ball and just threw it right to the ref.
And Bills recovered it in
Now,
the end
if they
zone.
had a,
Yes, that's
Hoyer-
right.
Yeah, and like again, if they had a Houston Texan on the other side of the end zone, that could have been a lateral play.
For sure.
Like that absolutely should have
Yeah.
been a live ball. A common sense ruling was made.
Oh,
And a common sense ruling is never made.
yeah.
But you tell me, whatever.
I
So
think
anyways,
if the ref he threw it to made the call, he gave himself up. That was one thing they didn't.
He
The
didn't.
call on the field was a fumble.
It was a shadow route.
that ref wanted it live as hell. He's like,
Because-
whoa,
Yeah, he did.
it was
I was gonna say, he didn't catch
It was awesome. And
Because
then
we've seen a guy dive for a catch and thought like he was touched by someone. They zoom in and they didn't. But then the ref decides he stood up, wasn't making a football move. That's
Sure, that's
giving
different. That's
yourself
different.
up.
the legendary thing
But,
on the broadcast
yeah.
was they shot it back to Joe Tessero. He's like, let's go to Lisa Salters. And right when they went to Lisa Salters, you could hear a sound vacuum like suck out of the Houston stadium because like it was just the Bills fans like hipping and hollering like touchdown. And she turns around and she's like, I don't know. Joe Tesero's like, hold on here.
And then they were like, oh, there's always a ref in the
Yes.
end zone wearing all black that's just to enforce these common sense rules.
You know,
I'm like,
NFL
what?
PR was on the phone.
What was that?
On the phone. That's like, listen, we need to control this, get that messaging out for sure.
Weird.
Speaking of control, Slick, Netflix Raw, something that was very much in control, a lot of hype around. I wrote that it kind of fell flat. I thought that we got just as good a show on SmackDown, truthfully.
I thought the SmackDown show was better, I think.
Dang, that's all I wanted to make sure.
But you do have the new tag team champions in Rio and Io and Rhea, I'm sorry, which is pretty cool. Saw them on Monday, quick turnaround for them, getting gold there. So, and then our guy Phil retaining.
Our guy Phil Davis, I honestly
Breakker.
thought he was going to lose when Breaker was running back and forth real quick. He got the knee up.
I did think the Vision was going to somehow propel their way to putting that strap on Breaker, but didn't happen. Where do you think he's going to drop that? And to who?
Mania? Someone?
Rumble, maybe?
I have no idea.
I don't
We'll
either.
see. We'll see.
It's a tough
You're not
road.
into the wrestling world, right? I know we always.
It ended with me. Yeah, no, it ended for
You're
me.
a Macho
Like,
Man Savage guy.
yeah, Macho Man, Shawn Michaels, NWO. That was the end of it.
Well,
for me.
Shawn Michaels, the GM of NXT now. It's great.
Oh, he is. I didn't know that.
he's-
Okay.
They kind of look at it like he's like the coach down in the AAA system, like making
Gotcha,
sure that
gotcha.
everyone's got the showstopper.
You got the
mentality.
generational talent taking the triple B to Tulsa tonight, too.
Absolutely. I can't wait to see some AEW. Super excited seeing what victory they have planned there. But victory is all that's on our mind as we wind down here on Trainwreck today. Let's get into it and let's see what exactly you would buy or sell from Buffalo this weekend when it comes to a victory. Thanks to our friends at Victory Smokes. Okay, so with that said, buy or sell. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you a stat line or a situation that we could apply to this Sunday's game. If you think that would guarantee a Buffalo football Bills win, you are buying it. If you're selling it, you think they need more to get it done. Everyone know how to play?
Okay, yeah, I think so.
Okay, first up, Josh Allen. In the wild card games, he does average in his career about 320 to 340 yards of offense and 2.5 touchdowns.
Wow.
Would you take 280 yards of offense with no turnovers from Josh Allen? Would that be enough for you to buy into a win, Slick?
Selling.
You need more. You need a little bit more.
I love the no turnovers. The 280 worries me. especially when you consider that it's going to be a tight game and the over-under is 52 points. I think 280, you lose that shootout battle.
I'm going to go against that. I'm going to say bye because I think the Bills' run game is going to be
that would be a big
emphasis where they may, still 280 yards of total offense from your quarterback is not a bad day, but relative to what Josh Allen normally does, would be a little bit less. I think it's a big game for James Cook, maybe even more Ray Davis and Ty Johnson this week.
Very much, yeah. So they did not practice for Ty Johnson today, but we saw he DNP'd. He did promote the free items. Yeah, so he's good. Yeah. Don, you buy yourself 280.
Yeah, I'm going to buy it for the same reasons. 280 from Josh Allen passing and on the ground, him alone. James Cook, he gives us 80, which hasn't been a tough number for him at all. I think has us right where we want to be, has us control in the game, and I'm going to put my faith in the second half McDermott's defense.
I like that. I am going to kind of go off your take, Chris, that if we have 280 yards of offense out of Allen and he has no turnovers and we lose, something was mismanaged along the line. Something went awry or a disaster because we should have been using Josh more then. Would be my take. Good if point. We had no turnovers and 280 yards, we lost. So we will, 3 of us buying, 1 of us selling here on our segment. So the next one up, Buffalo scores 25 points. Let's go reverse on this one. I will take it. I think that McDermott defenses do best when they're doubted for the most part. We don't have any crazy personnel that's shifting in for the first time. We should get Poyer back. Milano's playing at a high level like he was playing in past years, not necessarily at the beginning of this year. I think that 25 points for the Bills would get it done, even with the over-under being around 52. Don, or 51, 52. What do you got, Don?
I'm buying that as well. I think if we're putting up 25, I like keeping them to less than 25. I think our defensive front can get to Trevor Lawrence. And, he's a big guy. He's got big strides. He's not necessarily that speedy. I think we contain him, get to him. And, I'm buying that full stop.
All right. I've been going back and forth in my head here. I was first going to say sell, but I'm actually going to say buy. Take note of the Jaguars left tackle, Cole Van Lanen, who just signed an extension last week. He got hurt in week 18's game. He hurt his knee. I don't know the severity. I didn't look into it. If he can't play, what Don just said about the Bills pass rush being able, and maybe with some blitzes, but with a healthy Joey Bosa, probably the healthiest he's been since his injury because he didn't play last week, getting after Trevor Lawrence. So I'm going to buy it, but it'll be maybe a little bit lower scoring under that 51 or 52 point spread. Or over under, sorry. Yep.
I'm going to be the anti guy. I'm going to sell yet again. The over unders got me.
You need a lot from these Buffalo football players.
You know me.
Okay.
As well as against all the good teams this year, it seems like we've needed 30 or more to win these tight games. I think we need 27 at least against this Jags team. I'm going to sell.
Okay. So another 3 buys and 1 sell?
Yeah.
Okay. Going on the next one. Buffalo going into half down 3. I thought this was a good one because I think we can all agree Buffalo's been a very strong second half team this year. My take on this one is I am going to actually sell. I wouldn't be worried, and I would feel definitely very decent. Would I think victory is assured? No, we would still have a lot of stuff to do in that second half to make it. If we're down 3 at half, I'd feel okay. I wouldn't be panicking, but I wouldn't feel 100% confident we were going to win. So I'll sell that. Select down 3 at half. What do you got?
It feels silly to say that I know victory could be assured, even though I had victory assured when we were coming back from behind against the Patriots. I am going to sell, though, just because this is a wild card playoff game. You can't assure victory down 3 again. We only scored 3 points against the Jags in the wild card round the first time around, or was it 6?
No, it's 3.
3. Hence my point. 3. You can't count on anything just scoring 3 points, selling that.
All right. I'm going to buy it. And we talked about it off air, which I know you said you can't buy this, but I'm going to do it because I think we talked off air of who's calling the plays on defense, and is just Sean McDermott taking the headset or whatever you want to call it in the second half because they blitz more. The blitzes seemingly get home more. The coverage looks more disguised. So I think after what the Bills have been through this season of these big halftime deficits where they look like not a playoff team, and then in the second half they look like the best defense in the NFL, if on the road against a team that's won 8 in a row, which we can get into the value of those wins or the competition that the Jaguars have faced too in those wins, only down 3, I think would actually be a win relative to what we've seen the Bills do a lot of the times in the first half compared to the second half of the season.
All right. So 2 sells and a buy. Don, where are we going to land on this one? Down 3 at half.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy it too. Again, for all the same reasons he said. I mean, look at the playoff teams right now. Patriots, second half in the comeback game, hold them to one touchdown. That was a 70-yard rip that should have never happened. You got the Eagles didn't score a single point. Got Steelers didn't score a single point. You got the Texans who only scored 3. I mean, this team eats in the second half, especially defensively. And that's where our offenses also start getting going. Now in a couple of those games, like the Texans, the offense have struggled. But I'm relying on Josh to come through in the clutch, on knowing that, hey, we're not living tomorrow unless we're coming out with the win. We're putting it all on the line, put on the cape, and get it done if the defense gives you a chance.
How about a game where the Bills just defensively come out not vanilla and they're like a little bit more aggressive?
No,
I mean, this is a low-hanging fruit. Low-hanging fruit. What I don't understand about it is, very quickly, the Bills game plan or every team, but let's say Bobby Babbitt, Sean McDermott, they're game planning for 7 days. They watch all the Jaguars film. They're staying up late, whatever. They can make better adjustments in 12 minutes during halftime than they can in 7 days. That's just like baffling to me, where you do see the aggression turned up in the second half, and it works wonders for this defense. So to see them come out at the kickoff and play with their hair on fire like they do in the second half would go a long way to not having one of those heart attack games for the Bills in the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, it's frustrated fans all season long how it seems like we've almost kind of wait to see their serve for a little bit in tennis. Yeah. And then we wait till it's 4-4 in the first set to like try and do stuff. Yeah, let's be aggressive out the gate for certain and see how, I would love to see how that goes. Speaking of being aggressive, let's go down to one more for buy or sell here. And this one is an interesting one. Khalil Shakir, 85 yards and a touchdown in this game. Would that get you over the win meter for the Buffalo Bills, Slick? I think this would be probably Khalil's season high in at least a couple weeks, or at least like a couple months.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I'm going to buy for the first time in all these segments. Surprisingly, I didn't want to, but this tells me that Khalil has one of his breakout 50-yard runs on the screen, which is that touchdown, and then an additional 30 yards. You just give me like another 20 from Kincaid, maybe 15 and a touchdown from Knox, and then who knows, maybe 2 rushing from Cook. I think that all adds up to a dominant victory from the 100%. Bills. So I'm going to buy on that front. 100%
agree. I'm going to buy that too. And what I've been like the running joke that I've had with my friends and my dad and stuff during like really the last 10 games for the Bills is any reception by a Bills receiver that is not Shakir feels like you win the lottery.
Yeah.
So like give me 85 and a touchdown from Shakir, what you mentioned with the run game, with Kincaid, with Knox, and then like, I don't know, 3 catches, maybe 2 from Cooks and 1 from Shavers. I think that would be enough. But yes, 85.
Can we do it?
85 and a touchdown from Shakir, like you said, would be one of his higher watermarks.
Outputs,
like of the last month. I think that would be enough for the Bills to win.
Yeah, I was thinking it would probably be his biggest game since Houston in late
with the hook and ladder in it. Yeah.
What do you got, Don? Buying that?
Well, I hate to be a broken record and buying every single one. I was going to sell one of the other ones on the list, but I'm buying. Hey, Bills are undefeated when Shakir scores a touchdown.
That's all I need to hear.
Granted, he's only got 4, but you know, hey, the stats don't lie.
Perfect time.
You know, so hey, if he's getting 85, that means for me that the pass game is humming. Most games where he's getting over 60 yards, that means that Josh is doing well. The game's humming. So I'm going to take that with the assumption that the passing game is getting off, because I think that's what we like. I have trust that the run game will be there. You know, especially against the Jaguars. I know they have a great defense, but I have trust that our run game is going to be there. So really the emphasis on get the pass game going.
One last thing that I'll say too, sorry, just going to jump in again. He said he envisions that with a 50-yard Shakir, yards after the catch, touchdown, and then 30 other yards. I more envision it, which I'm going back to like the Cole Beasley era, where it felt like that's when the offense was best, where they would get it to Beasley early, 6 yards, 8 yards, 9 yards, 4 yards.
Let him pick up field.
Yes, and it helps Josh Allen with those early game jitters that I think he still has, where he's just got the adrenaline too much. I want to see like 8 catches for 85 yards, where Shakir, a lot of times you're like, throw it to Shakir, it's 3rd and 4, where they don't do it as much as they probably should, because he's got great hands. He's the one receiver who can get open, and he's so good after the catch. So I would want to see Shakir as maybe not the focal point of the offense. You have Cook, you have the tight ends, but maybe that's a game where he is seeing 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 targets.
Get the ball in his hands and let him make something happen.
Exactly.
It gets confidence up in Josh too when he's putting the ball in the receiver's hands.
I agree. We got to get rid of the early game jitters as quick as possible any way we can, for certain. So that was buy or sell. Make sure you're buying into Victory Smokes, coming soon to a dispensary near you, obviously. So keep an eye out for that. With that said, if this week doesn't go to plan, or even if the Rangers game on Thursday doesn't go to plan, there could be some crash outs. Don, I heard we got a call over on the crash out line.
Yes, sir. This is a good friend familiar to the program, our good friend Mendez. Let's see what he has to say.
Mendy.
What's up, guys? Mendez from Albany. Go Bills, first and foremost. That farewell was amazing. I watched all the way from Albany, but we had some Albany Bills backers in the house.
Okay.
That was just fantastic. It was wonderful. I mean, what more could we have asked for? Other than that, I have a small crash out to get off my chest. I'm not fucking with the narrative that just because Lamar Jackson, Burrow, Pat Mahomes aren't in the playoffs that we have to get it done. Oh, this should be nothing for us. Fuck off. Fuck off. Now all these teams that are gassed up all season, these big bad teams are so good. Now they're shit. They're easy. You should just breathe by them. I feel like that's kind of disrespectful to everybody else in the playoffs. I'm fucking over it. I'm just going to make sure that my sports media intake only comes from Trainwreck Today because the train is never stops.
Very good.
Go Bills.
Josh Allen, I love you. Mitch Trubisky, I love you. Let's fucking go.
A lot of love, positivity. I'm glad he attacked the weakest take in recent sports history.
It's so bad.
And I want to tell Mendez, after Sunday, I might be mitching my Trubisky.
Oh my goodness, that could be crazy.
My favorite part too about this take is there's no Burrow, there's Lamar. He has to get it done. Burrow and Lamar haven't won a Super Bowl either.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
He's made it further than Lamar ever has, and Burrow
Lamar in the West. Again, it's just like I don't want to tell people that maybe you should second guess the talking heads you listen to and what you intake. I cannot stress, Chris, that this is literally the lowest hanging fruit take that take no brain to think about because you clearly haven't thought about it when you put it out there.
Yeah, it's so bad because again, a lot of the teams that are in the playoffs beat the Chiefs.
Guess how they
and
got
beat
there,
the
buddies?
Ravens and beat the Bengals. So it's not as though some weird catastrophic events happened for those three other teams and they just
it wasn't magic.
Unfairly. Yeah, exactly. So there are still very good teams, good players in the playoffs. The one thing I will say that I said earlier, the lack of playoff experience,
yes.
I do think is maybe where part of that take was born from, but it is a very silly take.
The lack of playoff experience is definitely the only thing really deriving that take. But when you look at it on paper, not only is there good teams, there's the leading MVP candidate.
Exactly. Oh my God, yeah.
Seed in the AFC that you have to go through potentially. Yeah, I know, leading MVP. Still, I think that belongs in the NFC.
I think with the Jaguars and with the Patriots, I mean, not that it will entrench any of these takes, but we will see how the super easy schedule of the regular season that leads to 13, 14 wins, how that bears out in the postseason when you're not facing the Titans or the Raiders or the worst team in the league seemingly every week like the Patriots and the Jaguars lately have ultimately faced.
Vegas is speaking. Speaking of Vegas, Bills are right there, so they clearly don't think Jacksonville. And
but then again, speaking of Vegas, they would be all over a team that's won 8 straight games hosting Buffalo. It's a pick'em.
Yeah,
the Bills are just a half.
And what's the Chargers?
Chargers are plus 3.
And that's just the home field advantage.
Plus 3.
Exactly. So again, I think when we look at the numbers, when we look at everything, all bets are off.
Based on the 8 in a row, the Bills, in my opinion, should be minus 250.
Okay, now you're
They're due
for a loss.
Folks, make sure you are checking out the Trainwreck Sports account for all of our amazing merch. We'll probably be rolling out some more as well as things go on. Very excited about that. Don't forget the misses over on TikTok. Are we still booming?
Etsy.
Sorry, Etsy. ETSY. Make sure you're helping out the Mrs. CT over there. Rest of the week, Chris, you got anything going on? We're doing a Seneca 1 rally tomorrow, and then we'll be at Herbal IQ 4 to 5 with Sal Capaccio. Everyone's dream blunt rotation guy.
Yeah, on Friday. Yeah. Well,
Sal, I love you.
Certainly one of mine, but yeah.
No, I mean, I'm just gearing up for this sports extravaganza that we got going on with the Sabres, college football playoff. wild card weekend. It's going to be fun watching Saturday, just getting to watch those 2 NFC games.
A little relaxed. Like I remember, I could still remember being at Jacksonville Landing in 2018, January, and it was just ecstasy that you were there and ecstasy that you were in. You were
it did feel like we're happy to be here.
Watching other, teams, and you're like, wow, we're in this. Like we're in this thing they're playing in right now. Like I'll never forget, it was Julio Jones tearing up the new newbie Sean McVay Rams.
Wow, what a sign of the times. Oh
yeah, times that it. Future Bills receiver Julio Jones that never came to fruition, even though he was like rumored for like 5 straight years.
Yeah. Antonio Brown,
folks,
Julio
don't let it be a
Jones.
rumor. Make sure you're tuned into Trainwreck Sports, Herd of Buffalo. Make sure you're following Chris Trapasso on all platforms. We've got to stay informed. We've got to stay knowledgeable. Huge shout out to him for coming in on studio on short notice, making it happen with us. Slick Al, Dreamboat Don, myself, Rachel in the saddle with us. And we are making it happen. Let's go have a good rest of our week. Let's go beat the Rangers. Let's keep the UV momentum rolling. Let's keep the Bandits going. Let's go 1-0 in Jacksonville. Let's make all of that happen. Let's have a great week. We can only start that by having a good
day now.
Oh.